There was a time in my life not too long ago when I was pre-diabetic, extremely unhealthy, and feeling low energy all the time. I have to say, it's much more exciting knowing how to use food to live vibrantly, happy, and healthy every day. My name is Adam Hart, and I want to welcome you to the power of food. Hey guys, awesome to have you here. Welcome, Adam Hart, best-selling author of the Power of Food book. That's actually right out of my kitchen, so it's kind of messy. But I want to welcome you. It's the Power of Food Cooking Show. Really excited to have you here today. Today, we're going to focus on a snack because so many of my clients and the people that I engage with at all the live events that I get a chance to do, and I'm so grateful that I get to do those. But everybody says, well, Adam, I don't know what to eat when the mid-afternoon comes and I get that crash. And then I don't know what to do to get energy and kind of keep that day going. And I know how that is. I mean, I was pre-diabetic when I was 26 years old. I was living with very little to no energy, suffering with depression, anxiety, diagnosis pre-diabetic. So I understand what that means to kind of have this cycle and a lot of symptoms that we don't want to have in our lives. And my choice back in the day when I wanted to have a little boost of energy was a Snickers bar. That was it. I knew that if I ate a Snickers bar, I'd get a spike in insulin, I'd get that burst of energy, but then it always led to the crash. And if you're getting those up and down cycles at any point throughout the day, it's because your insulin isn't, it's not controlled in a way that you can have sustained energy. So what I want to introduce you to is a really amazing snack option. It's not one that might be on your radar, as far as all the bars that we eat and, the different muffins, crackers, you name it, that we tend to go for. What I want to introduce you today is straight out of the Power Food book, and it's called the Heavenly Halva. And halvah, you might be thinking, well, I've heard of it. I'm not really sure what that is. And essentially, it's a type of a Middle Eastern dish, a dessert dish, but it's not super sweet. It's actually more rich than anything. So what that means is when you're done making what I'm going to show you, you don't overconsume it. You just have little bits of this. And what that does is it starts to stabilize the sugar continually throughout the day. So you snack on a little bit of it mid-morning, mid-afternoon, and that's the real key with what I'm going to share with you as far as this recipe goes. So it's the Heavenly Halva. Let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to throw in some of these beautiful walnuts. Now I actually happen to soak the walnuts for about 24 hours just to remove any mold on them. And I know that's an extra step, and I'm not suggesting that you have to do that, but just know that these foods are living. So if something's alive, at some point it will start to potentially have some mold on it. So I just soak them for 24 hours, and then I have a dehydrator, so I use my dehydrator. Now, if you don't have a dehydrator at home, don't worry about that extra step because it is another step. But okay, so all I've done there is I've ground up the walnuts just to make them coarse. I don't need it to be super fine, but because we're going to add in a whole bunch more in there. So the walnuts, great source of essential fatty acids, good protein, good fiber, and that's what we're looking for. We just want food that's going to nourish us. Hemp seeds. Those of you who know me and know my work, that's the #1 nutritional food on the planet. For me, great source of complete protein and just really a great way to nourish. So I threw in a quarter cup of the hemp seeds. I'm going to add in now, this is some sesame seeds. Now that's kind of like the base of any halva is known as sesame. It's a sesame dish. So that is right here, unhulled sesame seeds. Now, you might think, well, what are unhulled? What's the point? When I was trying to get more calcium in my diet, as I shifted my diet away from heavily processed food, heavy meat and heavy dairy, I started to look at the plant-based world. What's in the plant-based world that can give me calcium? And then I realized pretty quick when I did my research that this seed, sesame seed, is one that most of us have in our homes and don't realize is as powerful as it is. So I'm going to read the back of this one. This one I got at my local health food store here in Squamish. And for 3 tablespoons of sesame seeds, right off the pack, you get 80% of your daily intake of iron, and you get 90% of your daily intake of calcium. Now, obviously, it depends on your own body, on how you're going to absorb that, but that's an amazing nutritional content for a little tiny seed like that. So, I know when I share this information, sometimes we start to think, well, it seems too easy that all I have to do is add some of these plant-based foods and I'm going to feel better. Well, if that's what you're going to get out of them, of course, it does make sense. So I've already ground some up, and I pre-ground it in my coffee grinder that I don't use for anything other than nuts and seeds, and I grind in some herbs maybe in there, which I highly recommend you do that. So I threw in some of the ground up unhulled sesame seeds, which again, fantastic nutrition powerhouse, not only the calcium and the iron, but you're also getting, again, great essential fatty acids, good protein source. Now I want to add in a little bit of the butter type thing. This is going to actually bring it into a paste. So I'm adding in, normally I'll throw in a little bit of almond butter. I'm going to put in some tahini as well, which is also really well known to be part of halva. But this here is a special butter that I found. I actually found it at Costco, and that's it there. It's called the super butter. I've seen it at a few other stores, but really, really amazing mix of all different types of different seeds. So we got sunflower seeds, sesame, flax. Those are the three main seeds in there. So I've been adding that into my halva just to give it a bit of an extra kick. Anytime you're adding seeds are a beautiful plant-based foods. They're going to give lots of nutritional value. So why not go ahead and just add those right in there. Then I'm going to take a little bit of the tahini as well, just because tahini is just so rich. This is just pure sesame paste. That's the tahini. So I'm going to throw in some of that right in there. Beauty. And just for fun, I got here some beautiful Planet hemp oil. Hemp oil is just a phenomenal omega source. Again, hemp is the ideal ratio of omega-3 to omega-6, 3-to-1. So I threw in just about a tablespoon of that. And then we want something to just pop it with sweetness. So that's where I have this guy here. Now, normally I'll put in honey, and in the Power Food book, it does call for honey. But in this magic little box is coconut nectar. And I have been eating more and more coconut nectar as of late, because I find that it just doesn't spike my energy as harsh as sometimes when I have honey or maple syrup will, although those are beautiful natural sugars in my world. But once I discovered coconut nectar, I just said to myself, well, this is great. It tastes great. It's really rich. And it's a nice, easy sweetener on the glycemic index, so it's not going to spike and give you that crash. So that's the halva there. I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on there. We'll blend it up and see how it goes. Okay, and you just grab a spatula and you can knock down the sides of there to get it going more, but that looks pretty good. I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. I'm just going to throw that right there. So I don't know if you can get in there and have a look inside, but that is essentially what you're looking for. You're looking for something that resembles a bit of a batter, but not super liquidy batter. You want it to be nice and firm so that you can press it down. And what I've got here is this beautiful parchment paper. I say beautiful because it's non-contaminated in any way. A lot of parchment and wax paper is full of bleaches and things that we don't want. So this is an all-natural one that I got at Nestor's grocery store. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to pat that down using my hand, just like so. You can even use a fork. Just press it down if you want. Okay. Super easy. That's the whole idea with the Power Food and everything I do, is it's got to be easy. So what I would do then is I would refrigerate that. I'd refrigerate that for even just 10 minutes. And what it's going to do is it's going to solidify. It's going to strengthen itself so that when you pull it out, you just pop it out on your counter and you just have to slice it into the squares you want. Now I'm going to do it anyway as is, but just know that these would come out really uniform as you cut them. So you can already see, if you got a close-up of that I'll just spread those out just using my hand, and they become individualized portions. So I'll just plop that. Nothing fancy here. For me, it's all a matter of just get the nutrients in. You don't have to be fancy about it. Just start to play around in your kitchen. And so what you end up with essentially is a beautiful amount of halva that you can put into a container. You can freeze it. It'll last probably about 6 months in the freezer. Leave them in the fridge. It'll last in your fridge a couple of weeks. What I do is every day I'll just pull one out, and again, they'll be a lot stronger than that. I'll have a container like so. I'll throw in 3 or 4, and when I travel, I have a cooler everywhere I go. I'll have my hemp smoothie. I'll have my halva. So rich, nourishes, complete proteins, just amazing. The whole idea with the Power Food is You don't eliminate. Don't get rid of all the different bars that you're currently eating or the other snacking options you're currently eating. What you want to do is you want to make the halva and you want to add this in. You want to eat this before, during, or after your cracker, your muffin, your chocolate, whatever it is, because that's just going to spike the sugar and give you the crash. Because of the great protein and essential fatty acids, it's going to help streamline that. It's going to get those dips up so you have no more of those dips and valleys. Plus, you get to enjoy something that tastes super fantastic. That's the Heavenly Halva right out of the Power Food book. Give it a try. Email me, adam@powerfood.com. Let me know what you thought of that recipe. I'd love to talk to you and hear more about how you're enjoying all this information. And again, it's all about feeling environmentally happy and healthy every single day, and it's a choice. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it.